Welcome to the EpicVerse Podcast, where curiosities and theories run wild about the strange and spectacular and everything in between. And now, your hosts, JosiahRises, Benjamin, and Epic Mike.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the EpicVerse Podcast.
Are you okay?
I am
Hello.
doing great.
Welcome.
My
How
throat
are you?
is killing me, but that's fine. It's all
Josiah.
part of the plan. It's all part of the progress. You know what I'm saying? Ben is refusing to drink water, so
Yeah,
make sure that you admonish him in the comments for that, because
Wow,
people should drink water.
I'm not refusing to
myself
drink
am
water. I'm
drinking
just
water.
on a strict time budget.
I also have been drinking water.
Good job, Mike. I'm proud of you.
Cheers. Ting,
Ting.
or ting, however it works. We'll do it.
So, yeah, we're all back here once again together to talk about some epic stuff. There's been some recent things that have been happening that we are going to be getting to, including some juicy information about Hollow Earth. It's been a little while since we've talked about Hollow Earth, so
Yeah,
we're going to be diving into that.
it's actually one of the most popular episodes.
Yeah, yeah.
People love it.
Yeah, people love that. So it's good to be back here once again talking about the mysteries around what could be within the structures of the earth. So and whenever I think of Hollow Earth, I can't help but think about King Kong and Godzilla and their little scuffle in Hollow Earth and Godzilla versus Kong. So
right.
Yeah.
and then I start
Godzilla-
to think about, the Godzilla and King Kong event from Call of Duty, and then I just get depressed because it was
'cause it
terrible.
sucked.
So
But
Yeah.
then sometimes I think of that Godzilla and King Kong movie, and that was actually kind of cool.
yeah,
Well, because
Godzilla
Godzilla
versus
won,
Kong.
that was what made it worth
Yeah,
it.
because Godzilla is king,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, because like
Everybody
imagine
knows
being a
that.
giant gorilla and all
And
you have
losing.
as a defense against a giant lizard that breathes fire is to take part of his family members and try to hit him with it.
yeah, that's all you got.
Yeah.
That's
And
all
they're
you
like,
got.
well, he can use an axe. I'm like, okay, Godzilla has fire breath. Still.
Yeah,
Dude, like
and King Kong
radioactive
wouldn't
fire
even
breath.
have that axe if it
Dude,
wasn't
I've-
for Godzilla's
I've
family,
always been
so,
a Godzilla fan, like
Yeah.
over King
Yeah.
Kong.
absolutely.
Godzilla-
Easily,
the
10
king.
out of 10 any day.
One's a giant gorilla that fell off the Eiffel Tower or the Empire State Building and died. And one's a giant lizard that
space
breathes
lizard.
fire.
Yeah,
Now
Well, he's not
the
from
thing,
space. He's an
it's
iguana.
true.
yeah,
Yeah.
He's from
Yeah.
the center of the earth.
Well, the original concept for Godzilla was he was an iguana. But then they were like, you know what? That doesn't make any sense.
A
He's just
radioactive
all-
iguana.
Yeah, he was a radioactive iguana. And then they're
He's like the
"Ah, no,
Hulk,
he's
but
not."
an iguana.
Yeah.
that's
Kinda
really
nuts.
funny. I
He
didn't
falls
know
into
that.
a pit of radioactive blue goo.
He got hit. Yeah, he got hit by like a nuclear bomb, and he was just like,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna make this a problem for everyone."
Yep. I respect it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I know your throat's hurting you. I know Ben's
Oh, it's
throat is
fine.
hurting him. Listen, we're just
It's
gonna
fine.
get into it. Like,
Okay.
I want to
Get
talk
into
about
it, Mike.
this.
Get into it.
All right.
This
Get-
is
get right in
unfortunately
there.
the article I found it originally on is IGN.com. No offense if you like IGN, but
Cringe.
excuse me. So scientists discover a hidden ancient forest and a sinkhole. No sign of Godzilla or King Kong yet. All right, let's get into this. So scientists have found an ancient forest hidden within a giant sinkhole in the Guangxi region of China, which could be home to previously unknown species. It's all vaguely reminiscent of Hollow Earth from Godzilla vs. King Kong. Hollow Earth was the thing before that, but IGN obviously doesn't know that, and that's fine. Cave explorers alerted scientists when they discovered a sinkhole measuring 630 feet deep, 1,000 feet long,
Mm-hmm.
and 490 feet wide. But they said its size was not only the matter of significance. According to Xinhua News, the prodigious pit was housing a well-preserved primitive forest filled with ancient trees as tall as 130 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So for reference,
Wow.
let me see here.
You know
I
what this
have the
reminds
thing
me
off
of?
on- Hold on,
Is
real quick.
oh yeah,
So
sorry.
the tallest California redwoods are 350 feet, which is huge.
Okay. Yeah.
But this thing was 130 feet in a preserved in a sinkhole.
Right.
So it was growing without light. Go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is this reminds me of, there's a similar place that Forrest Galante, who's a wildlife biologist, went in Vietnam, I believe. It's a giant, they had to hike through a giant cave to basically get to this like underground forest, which was literally just the same idea. It's a giant sinkhole, because he was trying to find a thought to be extinct like deer type animal. And it's very similar to this. I think this is a totally different one, but but this other one was wild. It was literally like you had to go through through this cave to get there. And it was that when they got there, it was like really, really fascinating. It was absolutely so cool. But this is very similar to that. I'll have to look up what the other one is and get the name for you.
Did he actually discover anything in that, or
no? He found manure samples, and he found some like hoof prints that he thought might have been, but the data came back and it couldn't. I don't think they could determine what it was. But it does mean that there are animals living down there, and there were animals living down there at least, and their life was sustained even in a giant sinkhole and cave.
Right.
Like basically in an underground forest, which is really fascinating. It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
And I think you like need like some kind of permit to be able to even go into the cave. It's crazy.
Well, that's the thing that fascinates me the most about this is like what could be the possibilities of what kind of creatures, species, whatever could be down there,
Yeah.
So,
well, that's always the interesting part of it is the fact that trees are down there, means there's other life, insects, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll keep reading it. So it said that a cave exploration team sailed down and trekked for several hours to reach the bottom of the sinkhole on May 6th. China Global Television Network posted a Twitter video showing highlights from their expedition to the tree-covered terrain, where they found dense shade plants coming up to their shoulders and 3 caves hidden in the walls of the site. While the enormity of the sinkhole and its cluster of contents may be eye-opening for many, George Vinnie, the executive director of the National Cave and Karst Research Institute in the U.S., told Live Science that discovery is not as surprising to researchers, as southern China is known for its karst landscapes featuring dramatic sinkholes and otherworldly caves. Vinnie explained that the karst landscapes are primarily formed by the dissolution of bedrock, which occurs when acid concentration in rainwater builds up. That's a lot. Nobody cares. Basically, the rain make the ground soft. Things fall in. That's
Makes sense.
What he's trying to say.
Nice.
But yeah, he said that, or one of the cave expedition leaders said, "I wouldn't be surprised to know that there are species found in these caves that have never been reported or described by science until now." And that's what's interesting is because we have talked a lot about the fact that we're constantly discovering new species.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's slight deviations, but we've also found some that are really crazy. Like I remember, what was it? When I was a kid, there was a big thing because they found the 3-eyed lizard, the lizard with 2 eyes here and the one in the back of its head. And stuff like that. Like, so they're constantly finding new species. But the other part of it is the fact that we have giant sinkholes in the earth that have vegetation growing that large. Because one of the things about like our planet and the reason things are smaller now is because the ecosystem and like the climate is a lot like, it's not as warm. There's like, it's actually cooler now and stuff like that. And cooler environments make for smaller creatures, and mammals thrive in cooler environments, whereas reptiles thrive in hotter climates and stuff. So a lot of the times things we talked about is, what happens to species of lizards that have been living down there or, other creatures, and then the fact is typically creatures like reptiles and stuff want to be warm. So they typically will go down instead of up. They'll try to go down deeper and get closer to the earth, the Earth's core.
Godzilla.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I just think that's really interesting.
So there could be like some little dinosaurs that are trying to get down there, maybe.
Yeah. So I found the name of that cave. So apparently it's considered the world's largest cave that's ever been explored. And I'll have to send you guys a clip of like the episode that he did this in, or if not, you should watch the whole thing. But it's basically like they had to go, I think it took them like 3 days to hike through this cave, and they had to like get across like a lake in the middle of it. It was absolutely insane. Like it looks like something out of like a I don't know, like a fantasy movie.
What's is that on YouTube?
No, I own the episode. I might have to watch it with you at some point. It's called the Sundung or Sundung. I'm not sure how to say it. Cave. SOND.
And what's the show called?
It's called hold on. I totally forgot. I should know this because I watched the whole thing. It is called Extinct or Alive.
Okay.
Excellent show.
Sounds pretty
if
cool.
you guys have never watched it, literally his whole purpose is to try to find he learns from like natives in the areas or like other scientists or things like that about an animal that maybe hasn't been seen in a really long or has been considered extinct, and someone finds proof and they like reach out to him and say, hey, like, can you go see if this, like, can you do an expedition to see if this thing's still alive?
Nice.
And
is this the Megatherium guy?
No, he was the one. He did bring up the Megatherium. He said that like if anything was alive from like the dinosaurs still, it would potentially be the Megatherium, and that's because of where it was located in South America. Yeah, he's the one who believes that there could potentially be something out there in Peru, but he refuses to say that because he doesn't think that anything like that exists anymore. But that was like the one thing, because that was actually on Joe Rogan's podcast when they talked about that.
Okay.
He said that like, he asked him about cryptozoology, and Forrest is like, well, I'm not a cryptozoologist, you know, I'm a wildlife biologist, but if like anything big like that, or you know, like that confirmed existed, like the Megatherium, that would be something that he wouldn't be surprised if there was like, you know, something living out there in like a giant cave in South America. But you know, he said it's obviously not something that could be, you know, confirmed, but it'd be interesting, you know. So I'll define the episode, but yeah, he's basically, I think he's now rediscovered like 4 or 5 extinct animals. Through these expeditions.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's a really, really fascinating dude, and the show is awesome. And he had 2 interviews with Joe Rogan that were both great. So
it's really cool.
Okay, would highly recommend that.
Another thing that always like makes me not curious, but like slightly worried is what do you know, the other thing that's really scary in the world that like a lot of people don't talk about. Insects are terrifying, but so are plants. Like they're terrifying in a different way because they do stuff that you don't really know. Like they can put stuff in the air that you don't know about. You know, how do they seed themselves other places and stuff. You know, molds are a little bit more scary like that, like fungus and stuff. But like, you know, if you're in an ancient forest, there might be stuff in the air that you've never encountered in your lungs before.
True.
You know,
True.
what kind of situation do you run into with that? What kind of situation do you run into if you like find a poisonous plant because it's trying to survive, and you know, or things like that. So that's always like a scary part too, is you never know what exactly you might run into when you're in these caves or you know, stuff like that. Because one of the things that I always think is interesting is I think there's been like 4 new species discovered, and some of them are rediscovered, like they thought they were extinct, but you know, but some of the newer things that have been found are plants. And they do different things, and they don't know what their properties are until they really start like dealing with them and stuff like that, you know? So stuff like that always terrifies me.
Yeah. That's always really fascinating. I mean, you know, because you always hear about like, you know, dinosaurs from the past or giant insects or whatever else, but you don't really hear a whole lot about like plants and what plants could have
plants are terrifying.
Capable of doing, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of like ancient plants that people have discovered, but I feel like you don't really hear too much about like what they could have been capable of doing, you know?
Oh yeah, dude. Well, like that's the thing. Well, you know, we talked a little bit about how, you know, scientists have found new species and new viruses and stuff from the Ice Age buried in the ice, which is terrifying.
Yep.
But like, yeah, I mean, you know, we don't talk a whole lot about like plants and what they can do, and yeah.
It reminds me of the there's I think it was in Alien Covenant. There was like one of the it wasn't a xenomorph, it was like a neomorph that was like a cousin of the xenomorph or something, but like its egg sacs were kind of like, they kind of looked like these black mushrooms in the forest. And one of the people like stepped on it, and then it released like a cloud of like the little microorganisms from these egg sacs into the air, and then people like breathe them in, and then then it would like grow into like the neomorph inside of them, and dude, split out their back and all that stuff. So,
dude,
good times.
That's not good times. That's terrifying. Well, but I mean, obviously that's an exaggeration, but yeah, I mean, that kind of a thing. What do you do if you run into, a situation where, you get some kind of fungus in your lungs or something, and then it spreads in your body because it's warm and dark and wet, like in a cave, and then you spread it to somebody else. I mean, the one thing we have about our bodies is that, like, if we have foreign stuff in our bodies get like really hot to try to cook it out.
Yeah,
but even with that, it's still terrifying.
Yeah. Well, they definitely did get the neomorph out. That's for sure. So
well, well, and then we also know about the fungus that infects people, like the zombie fungus. We've talked about that a lot too.
Right.
But the fact is, like, you have a zombie fungus that can affect small like ants and insects and stuff like that stuff.
Yeah.
But we once again don't know what kind of effect those kind of things have on humans.
Right.
We have we don't know that it could have an effect on us. We're just big enough to not get, totally jacked up by it or whatever. Like, you know.
Right.
So like that part of it's the scary. That part of it's also scary is like, oh, what if you take inside your lungs something that, changes your behavior.
Right.
Right.
Or, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Dude.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty crazy stuff. Especially if, like, imagine if you had like a very condensed version of like that fungus or something. Like, I wonder if that would actually do something to someone.
I wonder if, like, to me, I feel like fungus or plant life would be the type of thing that would eventually cause a zombie virus outbreak. I don't know if you guys remember that like article that came up years back where, was that like fungus that got into like the brains of different animals and like made them go like kill other things, and then they eventually died. I don't remember what it was called, but I feel like, realistically speaking, some kind of fungi or like something from a plant would be the thing to cause that, or at least be used to create some kind of virus, like a zombie type virus. Someone would try to like find the cure for cancer and instead like create this virus that, wipes out the entirety of human Earth or like the human species.
Yeah.
But
yeah, man.
I don't know. I feel like that's like, I don't know, like plant life is wild. And I feel like we don't really talk about how wild it is enough.
No.
Yeah. Think about especially like these sinkholes where, it's very warm and damp and moist and everything. Who knows what's down there? So
Right. Exactly.
100%, man. I mean, and you have plants, we have like, plants like poison ivy and stuff you touch and it immediately makes you itchy and have allergic reactions and stuff. Imagine a plant that you touch it and it's got like acidic properties that burn through your skin or I mean, dude, it's just, the implications of it are terrifying. But then also at the other side of it, the implications of it can be really cool because what if we keep digging? What if we keep going down in these caves and finding more life? What if we find out that there is like a hollow earth? The question is, would anybody tell anybody?
Right. Right. That is the question.
It might change things a lot because go ahead.
I mean, we don't really get told that much about. I feel like there's a lot of gatekeeping when it comes to information that people let out. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of the same with UFOs and aliens. Like, the government doesn't really tell us a whole lot about what they know about that type of stuff. And I wonder if it could be a very similar case with something like the Hollow Earth or whatever else,
Right.
Like, they could know so much more than we do about these different things.
100%. I mean, we know that that's the case. I mean, we run into it all the time with issues like what we've talked about in the past with aliens and the fact that they'll know things are going on with like UFO sightings and not tell us and all this stuff. So it's like, what do you do if you find that there's a whole, I mean, we talk about this too a little bit, but resources and like food and all that stuff. What if you find an entire second section of the earth full of other resources and full of new types of resources, I mean, that could change a lot of things. So there's a lot of questions that would raise, but also I think that it would lead to probably a lot more people wanting to find out what's going on in there and like trying to move down there or live down there and stuff like that. Right. Although that would be kind of, I mean, it could be kind of cool. Imagine like living like really deep in a cave and like starting like a whole society of people that live inside caves. The
cave people. Yeah.
Cave people. Yeah. Bringing it back. Going real old school with it. Yeah.
Because, sometimes doesn't it kind of feel like sometimes Earth, society, history, all these different things are just neatly constructed in the way that the powers that be want them to be. You know what I mean? Like, imagine, I mean, they don't really want things that shake up the structure of things. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like that there's a lot of that type of stuff going on where they want order, they want things to be very structured, and they don't want anything to kind of upset that. So they tell you all of these things. This is the history of the world. This is how things are in science and biology. And all of these different things, and you can't really know what is beyond that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, and there's people that stand to lose things from that, and people stand to gain things from that, and so But that's why we talk about this stuff on this podcast, because we want people to feel like they can expand their minds and think outside the box. I mean, thinking outside the box has got us some great inventions and got us some great discoveries.
Yeah, exactly.
I did want to point out that that fungi is called a cordyceps. However, realistically, it couldn't infect people because we're a lot easier. We can fight off pathogens different than insects do. But I more of what I would say is like, what if someone experimented with that, like trying to figure out some way to cure something or whatever, or use it as like a bioweapon. Like I feel like with enough science and scientific research, you could change something like that into something that could control the mind. But basically what it does is it literally just like shoots the fungi through your like muscles and stuff and takes control of your body without touching your brain ever. And it literally just uses you it uses insects as like a meat puppet just to spread the fungus.
Insane.
Isn't that crazy?
Gosh.
Dude,
that something like that. That something like that exists, even though it only affects insects. Like it's still like crazy to me, though. And guess where it's found? It's literally found in jungles.
Right.
Like where
exactly.
Exactly.
Like
in jungles.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's crazy, dude. Yeah. I mean, and we've talked recently about the fact that there's underground cities, stuff like that.
Yep.
That's the thing about what's crazy about the world as we know it is, it's 2021, we have all this technology and we have all these leaps and bounds in technology to discover things, and we're still learning and discovering things on this planet that we had no idea of. The fact is, like, there's a giant, the fact that there's a sinkhole, they know that there's sinkholes in China and caves in China, but the fact that there's a sinkhole in China that's that big, has an entire, like 130-foot trees growing in it. All this stuff like that. Plants, vegetation that grows up to your shoulder. Like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, it just makes you wonder. Those are the things that people have discovered. What about things that are still hidden? What about places where there's sinkholes that have been covered up? Because this is the thing, too. We know that over thousands of years, things can change really rapidly. We know that in Egypt and stuff, some of the places in Egypt, there are entire civilizations buried under sand.
Right.
That we've never seen before, that we've never even conceived of, and we discover those all the time and find out that the older stuff is more advanced than the newer stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, what happens if like somebody finds a sinkhole in one area, explores it enough and does enough work that they find that it connects to something else in another place. And now we start figuring out that maybe ancient civilization was way more connected than we ever thought it was. Or, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, it opens up the door to greater purpose for humans. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, kind of the way that a lot of it is given to us is, we came out of the waters like a fish, and then we turned into like a monkey, and then we turned into people. And a lot of that just takes away purpose from people. Like, because, we came out of the water as like a fish. So we're just kind of here, you know, we have no, there is nothing special about human beings. We're just kind of here, and we're just trying to figure stuff out. You know, we were just cave people, and now we're here, and we don't really have any sort of meaning. And that's kind of how a lot of people, that's how people want humans to feel, you know? They want us to feel like we have no greater purpose or meaning
or small
or anything. Yeah.
Yep. But the world's a big place, and there's a lot. It seems like there's a lot more purpose in it than we realize.
There's a lot to discover and a lot to explore.
Yeah, absolutely. And we might find being open-minded means you might discover that there is way more complication to the human existence than we realize. We might find that, you know, maybe the way people think evolution worked isn't how it worked. Maybe it works in something even crazier way. You know, I mean, we might find that, you know, like there's always the talk about like the Cro-Magnon and the, you know, like the cave people. What if they were a totally different species? Like a totally different species than we are. And what if we wiped them all out? You know, I mean, and I know that what scientists will say is, well, yeah, they were different species because we evolved from. But what I'm saying is, what if they aren't like we are? Yeah. What if we all have existed over time in different ways that we didn't expect to exist? You know, I mean, there's all that kind of all those crazy theories out there, you know, about that stuff. But the fact is, yeah, the more we dig into the world, the more we find out we don't know a whole lot about it. Listen, we're in a reality, a world where hippos and whales are cousins.
No, Mike.
First cousins.
I knew you were going to go on this again.
This is science.
I knew it. Nope, it's not.
This is science. Nope. It's proven science. This is a thing. Whales were like, bro, you know what I'm going to do today? And they're like, what are you going to do today? I'm going to go walk around on land. I'm going to go chill. And then some of them were like, bro, I like that you're chilling on land. I'm going to go swim in the ocean. And then they just stayed there. And then hippos were like, hey, I get it. I like both too. You know what I'm saying?
No.
This is science. Mike. This is how we get. Listen, if you guys are going to stay closed-minded about this damn hippo business, that's your own problem. But my mind is fully open to embrace the fact that hippos and whales, dolphins, all at the same cookout. They're all chilling and hanging out with each other. It's just that the dolphins happen to be the creepy uncle that nobody talks to.
I think I think you are very
Thank you.
misled.
No.
And
no. You were going to say, I think you are very enlightened, but I know you're not feeling well, and that's okay. Listen, viruses affect everybody differently. Sometimes they make us delirious. Sometimes they make us think things that we're not really thinking and say things we don't really mean.
Look, just because I don't accept that hippos and whales
are related,
they are
related.
They are. They're cousins.
Because that is
They're
just
cousins.
an insane theory. And
no, it's not. It's not a theory.
That comes from the same people that say that you hopped out of the water as a fish.
Well, maybe I did. You don't know me. You don't know my life.
Yeah, you don't know
my
man.
story.
How do you know I wasn't actually a fish? Like,
how do you know?
Look, I'm not trying to be fishist here. Okay.
I don't know. It kind of sounds like you are,
bro. Kind of
sounds like you have problems with fish.
At one point, I was more related to a tadpole than I was to a person. I was a little thing swimming around, shriveling around in daddy's ball sack. And now here I am.
You kind of looked like a tadpole, not gonna lie.
I looked like a tadpole. Then I lost the tail. It was like, bro, tails are out this season.
But that wasn't just you turning from a tadpole into you. That was you finding the egg to create the bond that created you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
like, it's not like you're just like, oh, well, I'm kind of bored being a tadpole. Let me just grow some legs and some arms and, you know, an afro, and I'll be all set.
Tell me this, Josiah. Do you know that a hippo and a whale didn't find an egg? Do you know that? Do you know that one day a whale was like, "Hey, bro, I found this egg. Check it out." The other whale was like, "Nah, man, I don't like that egg business. I'm gonna go back to the ocean where I belong." He's like, "Well, I'm gonna check out this egg," and he checks out the egg, and next thing you know, hippo.
Yeah,
you don't know. You don't know. This is the thing, man.
I don't think you understand how biology works.
I don't think you do, because you're the one saying that they're not cousins, and science is saying they are cousins.
All I know is
I'm all on board to the science train. Listen,
all I know is that despite the fact that whales and hippos are not cousins,
they are. It's a fact.
All I know is that hippos are a great ally, and I respect them.
Yeah, well, then maybe you should stop crapping on their family. Maybe you should stop talking bad about their whale cousins, because you know what? We need all the help we can get against lizard people.
I mean, this is true.
You're not wrong. True. Mike's not wrong.
If we learn anything from Godzilla versus Kong, fire-breathing lizards are extremely OP, and the only way to beat them is with tools and allies.
Yeah, I mean, true.
Imagine a hippo with an axe.
Right.
Or a hippo with 2 axes.
I feel like a hippo would be able to survive like a nuclear wasteland pretty well. You know, like
maybe?
I feel like they could just, like suck all that radiation into them and just kind of like blast it out of their eyeballs or something.
Yeah, or out of their butts. Yeah.
Or their butts.
Yeah. I don't ever want to see that. I don't.
Well, and then they mutate. They might grow some more legs.
I don't ever want to see
wings. That's how we get flying hippos.
I'm not suggesting anything with this, but hippos are pretty thick.
They are.
You know what I'm saying? Very thick.
Thick hippos save lives.
Imagine a thick hippo saving the world.
It's a thippo.
Yeah. Just saying, bro. It's a thing.
Freaking hippos, man. I do like hippos. I do.
No, you don't.
Especially little baby hippos.
I freaking hate hippos, dude. Hippos are freaking demons.
Okay.
Hippo hatred here is strong.
But do you respect hippos, Ben?
Yeah, I respect them. I respect that they're freaking terrifying.
Yeah,
but I don't like them. I respect them, but I don't like them.
That means you don't like whales either, because they're cousins.
You know what, Mike?
You got beef with hippos, you got beef with whales, then. You can't live in a world where you don't have beef with whales if you have beef with hippos. They're cousins.
That's not even true, though.
It is
true. I can have beef with literally both of them.
It's science.
You know what? I'm done with you, Mike. I'm done. We're not arguing this anymore.
Trust the science, Ben.
We're not arguing the fact that
you're right. There's nothing to argue. Hippos and whales are cousins.
We all know that Fauci is the science. So
what? What does that have to do? What? Hippos and whales?
Because he's the science. He's the science.
Well,
what does he have to do with hippos and whales?
He would say that.
Because he's the guy that said trust the science.
They're closest living relatives, man. I'm telling you, it's a thing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, makes sense. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
But with all that being said, Hollow Earth is real. Hippos and
are related to
whales are not.
They're related. They're related.
And Ben is very sick, and we will catch you all in the next episode very soon. So if you enjoy the podcast, if you're watching us on YouTube, please comment, subscribe. If you're listening to us on your favorite audio podcast platform, then please leave a review, and we'll catch you all in the next episode very soon. Bye.
Hippos.
Bye.